Yeah. Here we go.
And now in studio we have here our friend Isaac Preston. Welcome to Shine Online.
Well, it's great being here.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're an artist, so I'm excited to have you in here. We have one of your beautiful pieces on display, and also in your honor, I wore
Very nice.
one of the pendants that you made me as well.
I was like, I saw that earlier. I was like, wait a second, sir.
Yeah. So obviously you're very creative, make a lot of really cool stuff. So how did you get started creating stuff like this?
Well, for stuff like this, I had a bonsai tree in college, and I really wanted to grow that bonsai tree, and I was super excited about it, and then the bonsai tree died. And I was like, well, that's upsetting. And I tried to do it again, and I was like, well, bonsai trees do not do well in the college setting. And so that kind of sat on the side for a while. I had the dish with me because I wasn't going to toss the dish. It was a neat-looking dish. Mm-hmm. And I'm at home. I'm in my studio. This is after I've graduated college. I'm back home, and I'm just kind of doing my thing in the house. Not really into art yet, but I tore apart a TV, and I found some copper wire in it. And the first thing I see was like, oh, wow, that can be hair for a sculpture. But, until that happened, I just kind of had it hanging on my wall, and the bowl was sitting on my shelf, and I was just sitting on the couch, and I look over, and I'm like, actually, I wasn't sitting on the couch. I was probably a milk crate. I don't like comforts because I feel it makes me lazy. But, well, that's another story. So I was sitting on the floor, probably a milk crate, and I look up, and I was like, I see my bowl, and I see my copper wire, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a copper tree. If I can kill a copper tree, then I guess I shouldn't have a bonsai tree, huh?
Right.
And I made that, and then I made other things. It was like I made that little guy, and then I started making large guys, and then I went down to smaller guys. But that's what really got me started. It's just my love of a bonsai tree.
Yeah. So was that like your first experience creating anything in general, like being creative, or was it something maybe that started earlier?
A lot earlier, actually. It's really funny. Is a lot of people wonder what you're going to do in life, and a lot of them say it's just, what did you do when you were a kid? Mm-hmm. And it's like, I've always taken apart things when I was younger. I was always fascinated with the way things worked and just the mechanics of it all. And I got into, what I got into, and I found like, typewriter parts or wiring that was left, inside of, whatever options I was working with. And I learned how to create with that because, you have all these things laying about. Why not create with it? What started that for the most part is I wanted to be an artist. But you get caught up in this, I can't afford paint, and I need to buy brushes. And he's like, if you're going to be an artist, you need a canvas, and you need the paints, and you need, and all of a sudden you're in bone-crippling debt, and you're just crying. But at the same time, I'm just like, well, that's just silly. Yeah. So I found a way to create without having to go into bone-crippling debt, and on the beginning of aspects of it.
Well, this is beautiful because it's like it would just be stuff that would go in the garbage, and now it's something
for the most
that's
part
artful and has a message and. Will be around, far longer than what it would be.
Would you like a little step-by-step of the basis here?
Yeah.
All right, so this was scrap wood from like an old project. It's just wood that's sitting around. My dad was going to burn it. I grew up burning. That's my father. But this is a part of a cherry tree that was in my mom and dad's backyard, actually. And, we were cutting it down and just, again, tossing it in the fire, but it's hollowed out in the center. And I was like, well, that's neat because there's like a circle of wood. And you see the skull that was leftover Halloween decorations. But then you start looking down the lower parts here, you see there's bones. This is actually a jawbone from a cat that was in my neighborhood. I called him Little Boy. He was a black and white cat, no tail. He wasn't really into the whole turf war things with the cats, and so he got beat up a lot because of it. But unfortunately, he met his demise underneath my dad's truck. And I think a year or so passed, and I noticed his bones was getting scattered about. And I was like, you know what, buddy? I'm going to do something better for you. Because I like that little cat. He was like, I talked to him like, hey, boy, what's up? It's like, oh, they got you again? Because, you get a little, cat things. Yeah. And it was as my way of remembering him, because it's like, to die and then just have your remains just kind of scattered about, like unrecognized. Yeah. And that's where a lot of my work comes from. I've realized over in time the way I make my work is I use all those bits and pieces of life that's been discarded and just, show people a way that, it can be something better. And I've done that with other people. But what I realized until recently, I was doing it for myself. I didn't feel like I was, worth a lot, I didn't feel that, my contribution to this world would really amount to much of anything. And so I created to reassure myself that, there is something for me. There is, that's coming to that point, is realizing that you were making your art for you, thinking that you're making your art for everyone else. And it's like, then you have that realization, I was doing this for me. I felt useless. I felt like there was nothing I felt like I was just a small, insignificant part of this planet. And it took this and realize that I am much greater than that. And I have a much larger contribution to this world, this society, these people, than, what I originally thought. I'm not just the name on a piece of paper. I'm not just an ethnicity you check off. I'm more than that. And realizing that has been a journey. It's a journey. That aspect of it was actually just recently. And I've been in this game for 12, 13 years, honestly, my whole life. That's the true honest question. But as far as like actually making things for people to see, 13, 14 years. And it just took until just recently to realize that I was making this for me, Yeah.
A big thing of what we do is, healing through art.
Absolutely.
So you just kind of like nailed it on the head there. And I know you have to go here soon. You got a busy day. You got a lot of meetings. But real quick, what is maybe some advice that you would give another artist or maybe an inspiring artist who want to work with like unconventional materials and recycled bits like you do?
Prepare to be overwhelmed. You can very easily go off into dark paths when it comes to work like this, because you just get so much of it and you start to become like, what are we doing to have this much garbage and this much waste? And it can get a bit rough for a second. But understand that you don't have to become the god of, taking all the garbage and because then that becomes a whole other thing. Because you're like, I can't create with all this. But show people what they can do with their garbage. Because I can collect other people's garbage and just become overwhelmed with it. This is what you can do with your garbage. This is what you can do with stuff that's just in your backyard. That's, stuff that was just laying about, stuff that you toss on the regular. You can create with absolutely anything. You don't have to have just paint. Paint helps. Paint is a fun addition, but it doesn't have to be just that. It's like you have an empty can of green beans. You have a twisty tie from a bread, some bread that you had. You have a tool that you can poke holes in the metal. All of a sudden, you have yourself a little robot that you've put together with those cans and that wire. No glue, no welding. No, don't make it super huge because you probably need to do some welding. But the smaller bits, it's bits of wire, time, love, and effort. It will get, it can get overwhelming sometimes, but that's just life. It really is. And it's okay to be overwhelmed. You're not wrong for being overwhelmed. You're not at fault for it. It's part of natural life. We're going to do things and become overwhelmed with it sometimes, and then get that crazy imposter syndrome. It's just like, what am I doing? I'm not this guy. But you're absolutely that guy. You're absolutely that girl. You're absolutely that raccoon.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, beautiful. I appreciate you coming here into the studio, inspiring all of us. And where's maybe somewhere people could find your artwork either online or in person?
Well, my wife and I, we have our website, rainbowartfarms.com, rainbowartfarms.
And your wife is an artist as well?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I think she will be around. I don't know. But, yes. And but Facebook, I'm Isaac Preston Artist, Isaac Preston -artist, something like that. You can find me on my regular Facebook page, 1 I, 1 S, 2 A's and a C, Preston. Look me up. Hey, I like your art. I'll direct you to my artist page, or just let me know. Okay. But I'm on Instagram as well, Isaac Preston Artist. But you'll find all that via my Facebook page, and then we can just go from there. And I can add more things over time. But I'm around. I'm at the Riff Raff Gallery and Boutique in Princeton. I'm at Gary Bolden's House of Art in Bluefield. I have a studio in Gary Bolden's House of Art in Bluefield in the Ramsey School building where I
highly recommend checking out.
Absolutely. And just be okay to make friends. You don't have to be a recluse, even though it's very fun to do, and it's I don't want to do it. Make friends. Find your tribe. For me, that has been an absolute, a godsend. It's like when you find your tribe, you find that reason to keep going. You find that reason to do more things. Find your tribe.
Awesome.
Even if your tribe starts off as you, you got to be that tribe of you first. Learn to love yourself. That unconditional love for yourself. And then that unconditional love will find other people who love you just as much. And then y'all can become that tribe.
Yeah. Well, appreciate you being here with all of us. Thank you for tuning in here to Shine Out Online. Stick around. We have plenty more. And we'll be right back. Yay.